Sometimes this takes just a couple of minutes. NA1SS, K5THS. NA1SS, K5THS.
K5THS, NA1SS, I have you loud and clear. Tell me.
Okay, Shannon, thank you for doing this. And are you ready for some questions from the students?
I am ready. Over.
Okay, we will start with our first student.
This is Kegan. If you could go back to high school, what is the one thing that you would pay more attention to? Over.
Kegan, great question. I think I would pay more attention to history. I find the world is a wonderful place, but it's a very complex place. And I find that you can't understand where you're going and where you are without knowing where you have been. Over.
I'm Dallas. What is the scariest part of traveling through the atmosphere? Over.
Dallas, I think the scariest part is wondering if the engines are going to turn on safely at the right time. Over.
I'm Tyler, KI5LPA. Are you longing for the day of return to Earth or already putting on your brakes so you can stay on the ISS longer? Over.
Tyler, I love it up here. I don't actually know when I'm coming back, but I'd be okay if I had to stay even longer. Over.
I'm Ryleigh. What is one skill that every astronaut should have before entering the astronaut program? Over.
Ryleigh, the one skill that every astronaut needs to have is teamwork. You got to be able to work on a big team with all kinds of people. Over.
I'm Aries. Have you seen changes to your circadian rhythms or those of any plants or animals aboard the ISS? Over.
Aries, you think we would, but we actually don't. It's kind of like being in a big office building up here. Over.
I'm Kaylee. How does NASA train you to deal with zero gravity? Over.
Kaylee, NASA doesn't actually train us to deal with zero gravity. It's something that you really can't learn about until you actually are in zero gravity. Over.
I'm Scottlynn. How do you get dressed without your clothes floating away? Over.
And it is a difficult thing because if you're not hanging onto your clothes, they will float away. So basically, you have to get out one item of clothes, put it on, and then get out the next item and put that on. Over.
I'm Kambri. How does NASA prepare you? How does NASA prepare you for walking on Earth after months of being in space? Over.
Kambri, lots of exercise. We've got trainers on the ground in Houston that work with us, and we spend a couple of hours every day doing exercise. Over.
Hi, I'm Harrison asking for Baylee. Is there a sight in space that was breathtaking the first time you saw it, and what was it? Over.
Well, Baylee and Harrison, I think there's two things that really stand out. The first time I saw a sunset from space because the colors are so rich. And the other thing is when I saw the Milky Way. I know you can see a lot of stars in those wide open spaces of Oklahoma, but you can see even more from up here. Over.
Hi, this is Harrison again. If there's a small space particle that penetrates the ISS, how is that handled? Over.
Hey, Harrison, great question. First thing to know is that we've actually got shielding on the outside of the space station to keep us safe. But the other thing is we have emergency procedures on board that we practice all the time. So if we were penetrated and our atmosphere started leaking out, we've got oxygen masks and we would get into our spacecraft to come home. Over.
This is Kegan. What are some of your favorite experiments in which you are involved? Over.
Hey, Kegan. I'm just getting into the scientific program up here, but I think some of my favorite ones are the ones that I am a test subject in the, learning about the human body. Over.
This is Dallas again. How much training do you need before going into space? Over.
Hey, Dallas. You actually need lots of training before you go into space. When you're selected as an astronaut, you are training for about 2 years before you are even eligible to go into space. And then for your particular flight, it's maybe another 2 years of training. Over.
This is Tyler, K5LPA. What happens if you become sick in space on an EVA or inside the ISS? Over.
Tyler, LF5OPA. We are trained for medical emergencies up here, and so it depends on how sick you might get. There's a lot of things that we can handle on board. We've got doctors on the ground that we can talk to, and if we are really serious, that we can get in our spacecraft and come home. Over.
Hi, it's Ryleigh again. What is the most challenging plant to try to grow in space? Over.
Ryleigh, that's an excellent question because, we're just starting to learn about growing plants in space. Up here, we've grown some lettuces and some radishes, and we've got other things on the horizon, and I honestly don't know what the most challenging thing is yet. Over.
This is Aries again. Does time change in space? Over.
Aries, time does not change in space. Minute's a minute and a day's a day. I think, nope, it's all the same up in space. Over.
I'm Kaylee. How do you sleep in space? Over.
Kaylee, it's a good question. We've got little crew quarters that we have to sleep in, and inside of crew quarters we have a sleeping bag. And so we get inside our sleeping bag, which is attached to a wall, and we just float while we sleep. Over.
Hi, this is Scottlynn again. How do you maintain body heat in and out of the ISS? Over.
Scottlynn, yeah, it can be kind of complicated. Inside the space station, it's not too bad. It's like picking an office building, so we've got air conditioners that keep us warm and heaters that our air conditioners that keep us cool and heaters that keep us warm. Outside, it's much more complicated because it can be a couple of 100 degrees in the sun and a couple of 100 minus degrees in the shade. So you have to wear a spacesuit that can do all that air conditioning for you. Over.
Hi, I'm Kambri. If someone gets injured, how do you respond? Over.
Kambri, if someone gets injured, we depend on our medical training up here. Over.
Hi, this is Harrison again asking for Baylee. If a free-floating 1-ounce drop of water were to freeze to the ISS, would it be rough or smooth in shape? Over.
Hey, Baylee and Harrison, I think this was an excellent question that we had to think a lot about. So if it's a free-floating drop of water, it's going to be in a round spherical shape. But once it starts freezing and starts expanding, I don't actually know if it would stay at the round shape or if it would become all rough. I really don't know. We have not done that yet. Over.
Hi, this is Harrison again. What are some personal items that you brought with you to the ISS? Over.
Harrison, we don't have a lot of space to bring up personal items, so this time I went the digital route. I brought up a bunch of pictures of my family and friends, and I have them as a screensaver on my desktop, on my laptop that's in my crew quarters. Over.
Okay, Shannon, this is Mr. Crow, K5LUO with K5THS. We really appreciate you doing this with ARISS and NASA, and we got some excited kids after all this. Thank you very much.
Well, it was definitely my pleasure. Over.
NA1SS, K5THS, signing clear.